Let's do it. Let's propagate now.
I'm ready to roll.
Says he's doing some sort of a podcast. It's pretty suspicious if you ask me.
If you see something, say something.
On Maynard.com.au. Hey, you! So, Adam Curry, when you wake up in the morning and you turn on your mainstream news media and you see they're dealing with some heavy political issue, and instead of going to someone who potentially might have studied the subject, they go to a blogger, how does that make you feel, being someone who wants to empower the people? Suddenly a blogger is there, which you might think is good, but we don't know who the blogger is.
No, I'm very skeptical in most cases. And when I see a blogger or someone who is tweeting, or even worse, when I see news media saying, well, here's what's being tweeted, I immediately think, oh, really? Well, who's behind that and who is this person? And I spend a fair amount of time looking at people, looking into their backgrounds, their biographies, who they are. You know, a very famous example of this is when the United States needed to move into Iraq for all of the reasons that I think are pretty well known now. There was a Hill and Knowlton was again, look out for these guys. They have an office in Australia as well, I believe. They set up a press conference, and they had a woman who they had contracted. She actually turned out to be the daughter of a politician who told this elaborate story about Saddam Hussein's guards who were throwing babies out of incubators. And the world was in horror, and oh my goodness, we have to go. Oh, this man must be stopped. Does it sound familiar, by the way? Does it sound like Gaddafi? Does it sound like Assad in Syria? Does it sound like the Ivory Coast? They use the same script over and over and over again, and people buy it. People just absolutely buy into it. But when you can start to expose some of this, and that is now well documented, there's real truth that comes to you. When it comes to bloggers and people tweeting, I mean, it's well known and admitted and documented that the State Department of the United States has what Hillary Lucifer Clinton calls techno experts, and they are out there tweeting, and they're Facebooking, and they do entire seminars, and they bring in people from Egypt. They brought people in and taught them how to set up Facebook groups, which is great. But whose message is being propagated? I wager to say that is the message of the United States and not necessarily of the people in Egypt themselves. Understand that there are people who are unhappy about their government in every society. There are good and bad things about each individual country and the leaders that they have. But the CIA is well known and for going into countries and stirring stuff up and stirring the pot and financing people and getting people to revolt. Isn't it interesting how the Libyan protesters went from protesters to rebels, complete with tanks, and they even had a jet, I think. They had a fighter jet.
Now, what was the goal? That they were supposed to have a jet, and then something went wrong with it.
Yeah, I think they ran out of coal for the jet or whatever. But more interesting is they also, all of a sudden, had a central bank. That was important. That's what I do as a protester. I don't go throw sticks and stones. No, I set up a central bank, and I immediately interface with the United States Federal Reserve, and they're on task now to get a $3 billion loan. This is obviously a scam.
There's a subprime loan market now in Libya?
No, money is control. So when you control the central bank, I mean, one of the theories for this Libyan invasion that we've discussed is the fact that Gaddafi, who he may be a crazy guy, maybe a poor dresser, but he is quite respected in Africa. He was working on something called the gold dinar, and the gold dinar would soon be used amongst many African nations, certainly within the north, but also China was talking about using the gold dinar and using that as a standard for the trade in oil. And the United States is very protective of its dollar being the currency of oil, which is very similar to what Saddam Hussein did. If you'll recall, he was also talking about trading his oil in euros. So this is all about money and control.
Maynard.com.au. Hey, you!